Ho 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 brick fanatics, the LEGO Group has unveiled a pair of new Christmassy LEGO sets, a new addition to the Winter Village collection, and a big old LEGO Christmas tree that you can build and display in your house, office or other place of business. And you might be tempted to think, yeah, it's some more Christmassy stuff, we get this every year, nothing really particularly special, but there is something in one of these LEGO sets which could well be a complete game changer for the LEGO Group. They have prototyped and tried out something that is very innovative for the LEGO Group, and it is finally debuting in a widely available set that is going to be on store shelves around the world. But before we talk about that, let's just talk about this Christmas tree for a second, because it is a very nice Christmas tree, and it is kind of a surprise that we've not had something similar to this from the LEGO Group up to this point, something which can be used in lieu of an actual Christmas tree in a lot of homes and, as I say, businesses, because I can imagine this being a very popular office desktop Christmas tree, something that you build and then you put on display and you think, oh, that's very nice, and then you box it up and you put it away, and then you get it out again the next year. And as such, you're going to get a fair amount of use out of it year on year on year as you keep bringing it out. It is never really going to go out of style. You could call this an evergreen LEGO set because it's an evergreen tree. That's what it is. I feel like it builds on the same kind of idea as the Mandarin orange tree that we've had in previous years for Lunar New Year, and it does appear to be a fairly sizable build. It's not going to be like a small little Christmas tree. There's going to be some kind of heft to it. Of course, that does mean that it comes with a similarly hefty price tag, but what are you going to do? But okay, the real draw here is the Winter Village set, which this time around is another Christmas train. And this is not the first Christmas train that we have had, but I do quite like the design of it. The engine itself is very neat. I love this big polar bear on the back. I love the carriage that's wrapped up like a present. And in here, we have something which is a fundamental game changer for the LEGO Group, a 3D printed LEGO element. This little train here was not made using the traditional mold injection technique used for LEGO bricks, but instead has been 3D printed, which means it's been built layer by layer by a computer in much the same way as all of the weird stuff that you see on Etsy or any time that you go to a convention. The LEGO Group has experimented with 3D elements in the past, but never really with a widespread release. We had a little adorable 3D printed LEGO duck that was given out to attendees at AFOL Day at the LEGO House in 2022, and then I think a few more slipped out here and there in the subsequent months. And then you've got this 3D printed pogo stick, which was given as a crowdfunding reward for £90 backers of The Secret Life of Lego Bricks by Daniel Konstanski. If you have not seen our video with Daniel, where he goes through a few of the cool, fascinating facts that he uncovered while researching the book, I absolutely definitely recommend that you check that video out because it will blow your mind. There is such cool information in there. So that's an exclusive item given away at a fan event and a backer reward for the absolute nerdiest of nerds who are crowdfunding a LEGO history book. That is something that is not necessarily very widely available, which makes this LEGO set the first time that a 3D printed element of this nature has been slipped into LEGO set boxes alongside a bunch of injection molded LEGO. But what's the point here? If you've ever handled a 3D printed thing, you might have thought to yourself, it's a bit naff, isn't it? I have here, and I don't mean any disrespect to the creator of this because it is very nice, but I have here a 3D printed case for a Teenage Engineering Pocket Operator little tiny music synthesizer device, because those things come without a case for some bizarre reason, and it's terrible. You need to buy a case for that kind of thing. And so I bought this one on Etsy a while ago, and this is billed as the most comfortable 3D printed case for a pocket operator that you can get on Etsy, and I definitely agree with that. But even though this is the highest of high quality, you can definitely tell that it is not injection molded plastic. You've got on it all of these ridges right here, which is an indication of the fact that it has been built up contoured line over line, and I can definitely feel that in places. As said, this is one of the nicer 3D printed things that I own. It feels fairly decent, but you can definitely tell a difference between this and Lego bricks, which are not 3D printed. They are injection molded. They are of a much higher, more comfortable quality. I do think this is a good example though, because you can tell on different parts of the plastic that there are different kinds of treatments that can be given to a 3D printed plastic. So you've got those lines on one part of this, but then on another part of this over here, if I can get the camera to focus, it's a lot less lined. There's a texture to it, yes, but it is a comfortable texture. It's something that feels all right to have in the hand. And that's the kind of texture that you see on the 3D printed duck and the 3D printed pogo stick. And then I am going to assume on the 3D printed little train that comes with this set as well. So if you're thinking, oh, 3D printing, that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think this is going to be the highest of high quality 3D printing rather than the stuff that your mate Jez knocks up in his garage. And what exactly is the point of 3D printing a Lego element rather than using the more traditional method? Well, it allows for an awful lot more intricate little tiny pieces that can add a bit more motion, a bit more dynamism to these Lego elements, which is why if you look at all of these, they're not static. You've got a little duck that opens and closes its beak as it's pushed along a surface. You've got a pogo stick which can bounce up and down, and then you've got this train where the wheels turn as you push it along again. This is something which can add a lot more intricate tiny little detail to these Lego elements and allow for a little bit more movement to these pieces. The question, I think, the real test here is going to be how well these little 3D printed elements stand up to the kinds of play that they will experience being in a more widely distributed Lego set. Because if it's an element that is given out to AFOL fans at the Lego house on a specific day for grown-up Lego fans to all come and look at Lego stuff together, then they're going to cherish these things, they're going to look after them, and or they're going to sell them on Bricklink for a significant amount of money. Ditto the pogo stick, that's only going out to the hardest of hardcore Lego fans who want that Lego history and who want to pledge lots of money in order to make that book happen. So that again is going to collectors who are looking after these things. Now a 3D printed Lego element is going into a box that is going to be played with by little Timmy on Christmas morning. The Lego group's experiment here then could end up with an awful lot of people breaking their 3D printed trains and either needing replacement elements or just being a little bit disappointed with the product. And if that is the case, you've got to be certain that the Lego group has made absolutely sure that these things are going to stand the test of time. They are going to have done due diligence in making sure that they have stress tested these trains. Even so, there is no stress test that can necessarily prepare all of these trains for this kind of treatment, so I am interested to see how the Lego fan base in general responds to these 3D printed trains, and based on that, whether or not we will see more experimentation like this from the Lego group in the future. If these trains end up proving popular, if they end up enduring that kind of hard-wearing play, I could envision the Lego group slipping these into more and more Lego sets. We could get 3D printed elements used similarly to, for example, a light brick or a sound brick, something that is kind of sprinkled into sets every now and then as a luxury extra that gives a little bit of extra razzle-dazzle to a Lego set. All in all, 3D printing is absolutely definitely not going to replace injection molding for the Lego group, but I can see it as being an additional arrow in the quiver for the Lego group when wanting to make Lego sets that have a little something different to them. And if that's applied over a variety of different themes, we could end up seeing some pretty neat stuff in the coming years. But what are your thoughts, both on 3D printed Lego bricks and on these new Christmas Lego sets? Let us know in the comments down below, and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe and the notification bell. Now, if you're going to be making a Lego.com purchase in the near future, and you may well be, Christmas is coming up, do make sure that you use the affiliate link in the description or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the Lego website and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. It doesn't cost you a penny extra, just helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things Lego, and you can sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.